October is time for high power in the heart of Dixie. The 5th annual Bama Blast-Off event in Aliceville, Alabama. One of the highest waivers east of the Mississippi. You can launch your rockets up to 16,500 feet. Bama Blast-Off also features over 2,000 acres of open fields and nearly 12,000 acres of mostly opened land for recovery, on-site food, parking for RVs, and a team of dedicated riders on ATVs to help you shag your rockets. We've even got our own real-time weather station on site. Reservations are filling up fast for the launch on October 29th and 30th. Learn more at BamaBlastoff.com. That's BamaBlastoff.com. High power in the heart of Dixie.
Fiction and reality. New stories, new ideas. Little Beth Entertainment.
Welcome to another news update of The Rocketry Show at TheRocketryShow.com. This time we're joined by me, CG, Jesse, Jeem, and guess what? The Noob is with us. The first time the Noob has been with I guess Jeem and I since we started the Model Rocket Show. So,
hey,
welcome,
how's it going,
Noob.
guys?
Great. Good to hear you.
What's up?
So we've got our, what we're doing here is about once a month or so, we do this little podcast where we bring you up to speed on some timely news items here. And we're doing that. We started this up when we're outside of our production cycle for the Model Rocket Show and the Rocketry Show. But we're going to continue these on because typically we try to shove these things into the show, the normal show, which is typically like interview and talking rockets. And then we try to shove some of this stuff in there. And it's just kind of like, it kind of really makes things goofy trying to make a show that's timely and get it produced in time. So what we're doing right now, just so you know, our bit of show news before we jump into the rocket news, is that we are actually in production now, recording shows and getting them queued up. And we're going to start releasing them. And hopefully this will keep the shows going on a regular schedule when we start up this next run of episodes. And it looks like the first show to come out of the gate will be the Model Rocket Show, and followed a little bit later by the first few episodes of the Rocketry Show. And then we'll try to keep them in that staggered schedule. And about once a month or so, we'll get together and do one of these news podcasts in between the production of the both shows here. So that's what it's looking like here. So we're going to jump into the news items right now. So we've got some stuff from Quest and AeroTech to start up the conversation with.
Let's just go right into it. AeroTech RMS K750 Super Thunder PS motor. It's a new product release. This is from 7-Eleven. AeroTech Quest is pleased to announce the Tripoli certification and immediate availability of new RMS reloadable motor system K750 ST. That's my favorite, Super Thunder. Rocket motor reload kit. AeroTech's second rocket motor reload kit designed to use the single grain RMS 751280. So that is like a big soda can. Perfect for heavy rockets launched from small fields. The K750 delivers, get this, 1,298.7 Newton seconds, or 292 pounds a second of total impulse, with a 1.74 burn time and an all-up weight-in motor hardware of 4.29 pounds, or 1,945 grams. It's also a great booster for two-stage rockets and features AeroTech's aerospace-grade Super Thunder propellant formulation with a burn rate midway between Blue Thunder and Warp 9. So it's got a little kick to it. The K750 PS generates a peak thrust of 835.7 newtons, or 187.9 pounds, with an average thrust of 746.6 newtons, or about 167 pounds. Super Thunder propellant displays a bright blue flame with prominent Mach diamonds and a little smoke. Now that has got to be a cool motor. It's plugged, so that means that it doesn't come with an ejection charge, so you've got to utilize your electronically activated recovery systems. I imagine if you're going to be playing with that motor, that's not a problem. So looks really exciting, and it's lightweight too. So this is something that's really going to kick some butt off of a rail for somebody, and maybe that'll be me.
Yeah. 75 millimeter motor.
Yeah, single grain, so easy to load.
No doubt. That's why I figured you'll be a good one to talk about that one there. This is cool. Wow.
I mean, I like the soda can. It's called. It's a 54 grain. It's a 1 grain 54 millimeter soda can. I call it, which is great to load because all you have is 2 O-rings and you put it together and there's no grain bonding. It's just you throw it in, you throw the O-rings in, and you go. And I like the single grain stuff. There's a lot of possibilities. So this one, I'm thinking of my
Everything.
4-inch.
Oh, that's true.
I got a 4-inch fiberglass that might be nice with this. Very nice. Wow,
dude.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the thrust curve and it looks like it's slightly progressive. It comes up to pressure pretty quickly at ignition and then as progressively gets larger, the thrust curve gets more intense for it looks like about a half a second and then it levels out. But it's a fairly straight thrust curve throughout its entire
1.7 second burn, guys. That's going to be insane.
Cool.
I can't wait to see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
wow,
that's and wild. Actually for a Super Thunder motor, I think that's kind of actually a long time for a Super Thunder because that stuff burns fast. Like the M4500 Super Thunder that I love, that thing's a 1.5 second burn. So that's actually a little bit longer than the M4500. So which should be really cool. I mean that'll certainly kick some butt. But moving on to a little bit more AeroTech news. So they have discontinued some of their motors, sadly. They're discontinuing a few 24 millimeter reloads, as well as some of their 18 and 32 millimeter glider motors typically used for, special purpose items. So on the list of discontinued items, for those of you guys that do your RMSRC stuff, the C3 4TP motor, 18 millimeter, the 12 C3 4TP motor, 18 millimeter, a D7 24 millimeter RMS RC, a D2 3T motor, which plugged 18 millimeter, D2 3T plugged 18 millimeter, an E11 3J 24, an E12 RCJ 24, an F12 3J 24, an RMS 3260 100 RC motor, F13 RCT and RCJ 32 millimeters, and the G12 RCT 32 millimeter RC motor. Though it's being discontinued for general retail, Gary Rosenfeld notes that the D2 3T will be produced for international competition when needed. So I don't know any of these motors. They're very specialized. They must be for RC gliders and special features. Have you guys heard of some of these?
Yeah, those are the ones that Frank Burke used to use when he was doing his gliders. They originally came in reloadable, and then he wound up getting some, made by AeroTech that were single use. So some of those, unfortunately, are listed on there. And there are some other motors that we understand are going to be discontinued for our other sizes, from 29 all the way up to 98s, guys. So just keep in mind that a lot of these are going to be discontinued as far as production, however they do the runs per year. But we do understand from Gary, too, that these may be made in lots, like, maybe one time a year or something like that, too. So that's why you don't see a lot published on some of the other sizes.
Yeah, he mentioned that the last time he was on with us, that there would be motors that maybe, I don't know, for lack of a better term right now, maybe a season for that motor where they'll be available for periods of time and then disappear again. So some of these may be part of that. We don't know which ones or whatever, but we believe some of these are falling under what he mentioned to us on this topic several episodes back on the Rocketry Show.
Yeah, I've got a few F12 reloads and I think maybe some E11s. I don't have the 3-second delay ones. I have the 5-second delay ones, which don't look like they're being discontinued just yet. I really like the F12. The first time I lost an AeroTech casing and a Jolly Logic shoot release was on an F12. So that was a memorable one for me.
I remember that.
Yeah. I put that in a little Estes rocket and I thought, well, I should put the shoot release in just so I don't lose the casing because it's pretty windy. And then everything landed in a swamp. And the one swampy area of this giant sod farm, and that was an F12. So that's that motor has a special place in my heart. But that was an F12.5. So I actually really like that motor. And I don't know. I always find I get a little bit sad whenever motors are discontinued, but there's a lot of motors out there, So there are other options. You have to not feel bad for the ones you don't have because you have so many to choose from.
True. Very true. And I mean,
Yes.
then they're consolidating some stuff. And I mean, they're doing it by the nature of the business. I mean, I'm sure there's not going to be any shortage of F-67s out there,
Oh, that's true.
So I think for the general populace, we should be okay. And for those of you guys that do specialty stuff, keep an eye on stocking up the ones that you need.
All righty. So we're going to jump over to some news from Jesse on LDRS 40. It looks like you have some LDRS 40 topics to roll through. So we'll jump over to you here.
So LDRS 40, I was able to attend that. It was held by the Rocket Association of California, or ROC is ROC is how they call it, Organization of California. My apologies, guys. And that was a very hot event. We drove all the way out there. It was a pretty long drive, but it was fun. I went with our buddy James Russell, who I mention all the time. When we got there, just dust and wind. It was in the late afternoon, and man, I tell you, I think the average temperature was about 108 degrees, and it was just a burning, beat-down sun. The Trade Tech Conference, the TRA Tech Conference, was held, that Friday and Saturday at the host hotel. That Thursday and Friday at the host hotel. And it was actually very beneficial to listen to those. If you go to the Tripoli website, you can still download and view those videos. There's a few presentations on there. There were a lot of them that did pique my interest, but, you could only go to one at a time because they held two at the same time. So I had to, pick and choose a priority. But I invite you guys to go to the Tripoli website and just take a look at the topics and, listen to the presenters, because it's good information. It's kind of like their version of what I would consider Narcon with the presentations. So it was good to get out of the heat for that. And, you go to dinner with all the Rocket friends that you hung out with and, just get ready for the next day. We had all the vendors out there. Wildman was out there, Chris's Rocket Supply, AMW, and so was Dave and Mike, Jay's brother from Mach. They were hanging out at the AMW tent, talking to customers, taking photos, tons of different photos. A couple of things that I wanted to touch on is there wasn't very many level 3 attempts because the waiver was kind of small. But I do want to give some congratulations out to Gary Rosenfield, who did successfully fly his Enerjet-looking type rocket. That was made by Scott Bounder and team. He got his level 3 on that. So that's good, Cool. So congratulations,
About
Gary.
time.
And another yeah, I know, right? Yeah. But another superstar that everybody kind of knows got his level 3 during the same event, and that was Joe Barnard from BPS Space. So congratulations, Joe. You got that magic number out there. So it was a good flight. I saw it. It was pretty awesome. So congratulations to you guys and everybody else who got certifications during that event. There was a huge list and, quite a bit to remember. So I don't really have a lot of specifics about the event. Just, whenever you get to go to an LDRS, it's, all the buddies that you see on the Tripoli groups, they pretty much all show up and they get to talk. Frank Burke was out there with his gliders, and, it was good to see Frank. So anytime you guys get to see Frank Burke fly his gliders, he just kind of pops in there, and then it's like what I'm going to call an intermission for all the other high power launches. And you just get to see those things, just kind of sit in the sky and, come down so peacefully and gracefully. And, so Frank's a superstar. So, congratulations to everybody that was able to cert out there. And make sure that you go check out those TRA Tech conferences.
And speaking of Joe Barnard, those of you who have been following his journey for the last, I think it's been 7 years with BPS Space, may know that he has actually succeeded in his original goal of sticking the landing with propulsion on a set of landing legs. So he has developed these rockets that they don't use fins, they use thrust vector control. He's gotten very good at the thrust vector control. I first met Joe about 7 years ago, I think, when he was just a few months into trying this, and his rockets would skitter across the ground. And I remember him saying that he thought it would take about 6 months for him to land a rocket on landing legs. And he's had a lot of broken legs because a lot of them have been 3D printed. And it got to a point where I thought, he's done a lot of really brilliant stuff. He's come such a long way. He's learned a lot, and he's done some very impressive things. And his YouTube channel is just blowing up insane. He makes a living on YouTube now, just with rocketry. And I actually know a guy here who didn't know that Joe was from Boston. And when I said, "Oh yeah, I know him," I saw some of his. He used to fly with us at CMAS, and he was very impressed with that. And he teaches at a STEM organization here, and he said all the kids know who Joe is. Joe's a rock star in rocketry, and all of the teenagers know who Joe is. So he's made quite a splash, but he's finally managed to land on legs. So he has a motor that he has an ascent motor. It's usually an F-15, an Estes, just a black powder motor. It gets jettisoned at apogee. And then there's a second motor that comes in and takes over the thrust, just like a SpaceX rocket. And of course, model rocket motors are generally not throttleable. They're solid fuel. So that's made it a really difficult challenge. And that's why there's variability in the performance of model rocket motors. That's why I never thought I just got, it's not, wasn't a question of confidence in Joe's, ability or his smarts, because he's learned a lot. He's probably the smartest guy I know. But I just thought, well, with model rocket motors, I don't think this is possible. But just looking at the pictures from Twitter, it looks like he's got much bigger landing legs now. And the video, as of this recording, is not on YouTube yet. But when it comes out, we're going to post that everywhere, because it's going to be pretty epic. It looks like he's got a launch site out there in the desert, and you can see this great composite shot of the rocket going up and then the rocket coming down with all of these, all this flame, and then just on the ground on three legs. So I'm, just knowing how long it's been, I tweeted at him. I said, "Did you cry when this happened? Because I would have cried if it had been me, because it has been such a long journey."
Yeah, me too.
And I kind of thought he was kind of maybe had stopped, thinking about the whole landing legs thing, because he'd done thrust vectoring and now he'd moved on to high power level 3 stuff, as we mentioned before. And, but no, he hadn't quit, and it paid off. So, I don't know if he's ever going to fly one again, because, end on a high note. But congratulations to Joe Barnard and
He's going to do it again.
I'm stunned. I'm stunned that he was able to do it. I'm stunned that anyone was able to do it.
Everybody is stunned. I mean, just by what you even mentioned about it, it's amazing, that he could throw all that stuff out there like that and actually make it happen. I mean, because all the technical stuff that's involved with this. You met him when he was still in the park in Boston. So you've known him from the beginning, and watching that journey must have been really cool for you to see.
Well, yeah, and when you say that, I don't know the technical stuff. He's talked about it. I've heard him talk. Even in the early days, but way before he had learned all he's learned now, he would start to talk to me about things, and I'd be like, "I know how to glue fins on." Here's the thing: Joe Barnard has a degree in music. He's a musician who taught himself to be an engineer, and it's just I am endlessly impressed with Joe Barnard. I don't know if there's anybody else that I can think of that has just taught himself, that has taught themselves so much. And,
a lot of it is just his stick-to-itness mindset. He just didn't stop until he got it. And many people would have just given up.
I would have quit
years ago. And he was determined, and that says something right there.
Yeah.
Think about the impact that he's made in rocketry as a hobby. Low power, high power, everything.
Yeah.
Just that one guy has had a huge impact on our hobby. And, I can't say the impact that he has had, except that all of my kids on my team know who he is. And, and he has really done a lot for the hobby. So thanks, Joe.
Yeah. Like I say, he's a rock star.
Just to be transparent, though, there have been some folks who have gotten some of his kits for the, Jim, you have one of his early releases in, I think, New BD2.
I do,
and, there's actually some guys who have actually stuck the landing as well. I've been seeing a couple of posts. There's one on TRF and there's one on Facebook that I was trying to find, but I didn't find it in time. But yeah, there have been some guys who stuck the landing. And obviously it's not as popular as, Joe doing it, because he was the originator of the product. But at the same time, just the fact that these guys can do that kind of math and do that kind of work and get this stuff to land, I mean, that's, hats off to all you guys that can mess with that stuff. I mean, I can make a rocket look pretty, maybe not as pretty as Noobs, but I can make a rocket fly high and fat just like James, but maybe not as cool as James. And I can't do anything as cool as CG, like making my own electronics and stuff. But we all have different, everybody's got a different skill set in this hobby. I think that's what's awesome. But I mean, Joe started this stuff with the thrust vectoring, and, I even had guys at work show me, hey, Josie, have you seen this? Yeah, bro. We know all about that. So, yeah, it's
Joe.
Congratulations, guys. Exactly. Oh, it's such good stuff.
Moving on to the NAR competition, the NRC events for the 2022-2023 contest year have been announced. So the NAR contest board has announced the following NRC events for 2022-23 contest year. They are A, altitude, A, payload, A, boost glide duration, A, streamer duration, B, egg loft duration, and quarter A, parachute duration. These events have been selected by the NAR contest board and NARM contest director per the Sporting Code Rule 13.1.3. And the 2022-23 contest year starts July 23rd of 2022 and ends on the last day of NARM. NRC flying ends on June 30th, 2023. And that's from Dan Wolf, the NAR contest board chair. The one event that I actually say that I really think is awesome is the quarter A parachute duration. How these guys can get something on a quarter A to stay aloft for the amount of time that they do is absolutely insane. So there's a lot of very light engineering going into that one. So good luck to all those people that are running that contest. I saw some of those contests when I was at NARM last time, and I really got to respect the detail that goes into some of these contests. I can't do it myself because I'm sort of show a big motor and a big rocket and watch it go. But the detail and the amount of work that people put into these contest rockets are amazing. I mean, they're rolling their own body tube mandrels. They're making their own chutes out of ridiculously thin mylar. And it's really kind of cool. So if you have a chance to see some of this and you haven't seen it yet, please do. It's pretty cool to see.
In other NAR news, we have the results of the NAR 2021-2022 rules revision process. And what they're doing here is, the way this works is, if you want to do a revision to any of the rules, the Appendix D in the Sporting Code states that the proposals must receive a 51% yes vote in order for the proposal to become part of the Sporting Code. So they did an election the last couple of months, and any and all NAR members had a chance to vote on these proposals, where they had some details attached to each one. And they said a total of 90 ballots were received, and some voters abstained from voting on all of the proposals. And the results are right here. So we've got on the issue RCP 2021, number 1, to allow any kind of streamer attachment in streamer duration events. That passed with 8 yeses and 7 noes. And
resoundingly.
RCP 2021, number 2, revised the R&D scoring process, and yes, 48 votes, no, 34. And the next one around, proposal number 3, change the judging of craftsmanship events to a blind judging format. It fails. Yes votes 37, no votes 49. So NAR members did not like that.
Interesting.
And number 4, removal of Rule 30.9.2. Let's see, and I forget what that is now. I wish I would have had the list up or printed out the what the details are from each one.
Right.
But that one there passes by a vote of 51. 51 yes votes, 32 no votes. If I would have known that the proposals themselves would have disappeared, I would have printed them out so we can refer back to them. Better luck next year, I guess. Let's see here. Number 5, require altimeters for tracking. I believe that had to do with updating the tracking rules. And that passes 68 votes, yes. No votes, 22. And rule number 6, add sports scale, sport, peanut, giant, concept sport scale Classic model as an additional NRC event.
Awesome.
That fails. No votes 57, yes votes 26.
Keep it at the sport range, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. Add dual egg loft altitude in engine classes C and D to the list of NRC events. Yes votes 47, no 41. So narrowly passed. Yeah. So number 8 there. Number 9, include D egg loft altitude as an NRC event. And yes votes of 42, no votes 44. So that narrowly failed.
Interesting.
Yeah. Rule number 10, include B engine class helicopter duration as an NRC event. Yes votes 45, no votes 42. So that passes by the skin of its teeth there. So number 11, include B engine class streamer duration as an NRC event. Yes votes 49, no votes 36. So that one passes. Rule number 12, clarify the required documentation for mission points for scale and sport scale events. Yes votes 74, no votes 10.
Looking for clarity.
That's a clear victory on that one there on number 12. Number 13, change rule 8.2, conduct by changing the word may to shall reinforce. That is, the CD has the duty to punish egregious bad behavior by disqualification there. That was kind of choppy the way to do the other two. Anyway, going on to number 14. Align Rule 51.13.1, mission 200 points to Rule 50.10.6, mission points for sports scale NRC. That one fails. Yes votes 34, no votes 47. And let's see here, moving on to number 15. Newly approved contest altimeters need to be available for a sale the entire 30 days before contest use can start. Yes votes 41, no votes 43. So that one failed. And RCP 2021 number 16, implement a standardized method and procedure for recording air temperature at NARM. And the yes votes were 49, no votes 39. So that passes.
That makes sense.
And I think this is the last one here. Eliminate the word to exceed a current record by 1% in order to establish a new record. And that's rule number 17, by the way. That one passes with 67 votes to 22 no votes. So there's your results of the rule change voting.
Okay, so in order to beat a record, it doesn't have to be 1% bigger. Is that what I'm going to say? Let's see. Eliminate the requirement to exceed a current record by 1% in order to establish a new record. And that's a yes.
Yes.
Okay. So there's no requirement. So in assuming an altitude record, if it's 1 foot over 7,000 feet or whatever it is, then it would be a new record.
I believe so, yes. I wish I would have known that they were kind of vanish away or become harder to find the original proposals, because that would have been handy to have to refer back to.
Well, any NRC guys that are doing this, or any contest guys that want to help clarify some of these rules, let Noob or us know. Noob's got the show for the low power stuff. I'm sure he'd be willing to talk to you, or we'd certainly do it too. So you know how to do that.
We need to ask Steve Crystal about this.
Actually, we've got a couple of people we can rope in on that. So we'll follow up on that.
Exactly.
The changes. Alrighty, so we've got some Estes news. Or at least a fun Estes news.
Well, yeah, the Estes has brought back an upscaled classic kit. The orbital transport is now out as a super orbital transport. And yeah, Jim, you have one, right? You've already purchased one.
Okay, for those of you guys out there that are like the born again rocket guys, like I am. Back in the day, you probably saved your pennies up to go and get an orbital transport, only to have you launch it and have the glider glide off into oblivion, or to have the thing just like circle around into this pile of smoking cardboard and balsa wood. Estes is going to give us another chance. They have not only released the orbital transport, but they have upscaled it. So it is now going to be a 31-inch long, 1.3-inch diameter orbital transport booster with glider that is available with a 24-millimeter motor mount, and it has gone on sale for pre-order.
Okay. And
I got 2 of them, and they're on the way. So I am very excited about this, Estes. Fantastic.
I saw a couple of posts that Apogee had done not an early release, but they were one of the first companies to partner with us just to resell those, and they're sold out. So it's going to be interesting to see if you can still buy those on the Estes website.
They're a pre-order right now, so hopefully, but if they've already sold out their stock, then
okay.
yeah. But the interesting thing was, I think there was back in the day there was a Hawks Hobby upscale orbital transport, and when I got back into rocketry 7 or 8 years ago, I searched eBay for that thing to try and find it. It was like the holy grail. I was able to get an upscale Mars lander, a Tango Papa. I was able to get all the upscales that I wanted, except for the Hawk Hobby orbital transport. And I know one guy who has one, and I've seen it in its bag. And I was like, oh, you suck. So, but I'm really excited that Estes is actually putting it out under their label. I'm just really jazzed to get one. I did get 2 of them. I think one I might modify with some fiberglass and do 29 millimeter on it. That is yet to be determined. The first one, I'm going to go stock on it. I'm just going to build it as it is meant to be built. And I'm going to cant the ailerons on the glider so that it circles, hopefully, and we'll see what happens. So this time I'm going to build it right, like not as a kid when I hacked and slashed it together and thought it looked cool, even though it only didn't fly very well, or if at all. But I'm looking forward to it. It's one of my favorite designs. It's such a cool futuristic design. It's like total space program, early 70s kind of vibe to it. I love the design, and I'm really excited about it.
So we're excited for you.
I'll send pictures when I crack it open. It's going to end up in my build pile, so I don't know how soon I'm going to get to it, but I think I'm probably going to push it forward to the priority. I don't know yet. I've got so many things going on that I haven't been able to build much of anything lately. But I this one may get me back to clear the bench and just do it.
So in other news, Jesse, it looks like you have some lock notes.
Yeah, just Lock kind of came up with full force, back in the late part of June and early July. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but there's a couple of things you might want to check out. If you guys go and check out one of the latest Dude Perfect videos, and there's a bunch of links on, TRF and Facebook for some of the groups. There's a lot of public knowledge that Lock Precision was able to help those Dude Perfect guys with that lost, Rocket Battle 3. And go check out that video. You might even see some of the Lock guys helping out there. And, something that I kind of want to say about that, obviously, Tripoli and NAR, we're all self-regulated, right? We all make sure that everything is done safe and sound. There was some folks from, some of the Texas clubs that were assisting the Dude Perfect guys as well. So I just want everybody to know that, short of the camera work, everything was done under NAR and Tripoli rules, guys. It was really freaking cool to know that. So rest assured everything was done safely for that video.
Good.
The second thing is...
Fantastic.
The second thing is, if you guys watched the latest season of Skinwalker Ranch, Locke was there again, helping out with, season 3. And I believe there's one episode in particular where they kind of put the rockets up early in the season. I believe it was the third episode. I haven't watched it myself, I won't lie. But you will see, basically all the Lot guys and Alan Isdale going out there and helping those guys put up some rockets. Unfortunately, there was a pretty bad KATO on the 12-inch SWR 300. And that was because of one of the, good old motors that we all heard about, the O motor that, has had some issues. So that did some damage, and that is visible on that episode. So if you get a chance to watch those episodes of Skinwalker Ranch, you'll see some rockets being represented on there too. So, congratulations to Locke, for keeping the hobby out in the visible eye. I mean, that's kind of a big deal, guys.
And it looks like on our final item here is Argonia Cup rules for 2023.
Yeah, so I'll speak to that one really quick. So the Argonia Cup was something that was created by the Cloudbuster group down in Argonia, Kansas, the same group that does all the Airfest events, right? So the Argonia Cup usually gets held in April or early spring of whatever year. This year, they've already done the rules, and they've already got sponsors going up to help with this. The Argonia Cup right now requires this set of goals. All right, the goal for the 2023 Argonia Cup competition is to launch a 2-stage rocket powered vehicle containing 1 golf ball payload in the sustainer to a sustainer altitude in excess of 9,000 feet AGL, and to recover the payload safely to a predetermined location on the rocket range. 2-stage, guys. How cool is that going to be for these students,
Very.
joining the Argonia Cup? So keep your eyes posted for that. And, go to the Argonia Cup. I'm sorry, the website is www.argoniacup.com. And take a look there. And, if you can make it down to Kansas during April, those events have tons of college students, tons of new people, tons of the next generation of rocketry that we're all trying to pull in. So if you get a chance, if you live in the Midwest and you get a chance to go to Kansas for an April, just vacation or, time out or whatever, go check it out. Argoniacup.com.
Excellent. Well, that was a great news episode, gang. Give yourself a hand. Thanks for joining us, Noob. It's nice having you in the bunch here with this.
Pretty fun.
So like I said, the next thing to expect, we'll have the Model Rocket Show starting up within the next 2 or 3 weeks of you hearing this. And then the Rocketry Show will follow a little bit later after that with new episodes as well. So we're in production right now for all of that stuff. So thanks for joining us on this edition of the Rocketry News Roundup here on the Rocketry Show and for the Model Rocket Show as well. And we'll see you next time with some shows. Have a good one, everyone.